Running on empties. Casting review.
What's popular, YouTube? I am coming back at you with another duo review. This time, not with Maui. This time, with my co-commentator, the guy that you never hear me talk to outside of commentary. It's Scrawny.
Yeah, it's in the contract. We're only friends on camera at events, the occasional check-in Mohan, but we're actually breaking tradition with this content. So just for the YouTube.
There is like a rare video out there we did with Blast one time that was like a commentary review. And that one actually had so much impact that a guy who was going to pop up, like another like Middle Eastern tournament organizer, like popped up. They're like, I watched this commentary video that you uploaded with Blast, got like 5,000 views. And I had no idea how much work went into commentary. And I'd love for you to come and commentate our circuit. I haven't even told you that yet. I think for the few people who watched, it was some of the most interesting content. So I thought, why don't we own it? Why don't we upload it on our channel and start to talk about how the sausage is made, so to speak, with commentary? Because a lot of people know the players and know the stories of the players, like they see on the outside what goes into a broadcast. But even when we think about ourselves, we don't know how much goes into a commentator's life in a sports broadcast as much, right? We are watching the players over in other sports a lot, and it's really only the best fans, right? Like the most hardcore fans that know a lot about us, right? They come up to us and they talk to us about commentary and they have comments. Like those guys are pretty enthusiast grade fans if you think about it, because in a building even where we get recognized a ton, let's say Singapore, it's still maybe 10% of the overall people there on a really good day that'll come up to us and like really want to talk to us about stuff. And for the most part, it's going to be Donk and Nico and Monesi. So, but I have to say, you know, what we do is pretty interesting. And I think it will be pretty interesting to get into a commentary review. So the game we've got today is the Grand Finals of PGL Bucharest. It was the last Grand Finals that we did. And how many Grand Finals have we done outside of Blast?
The only things would have been like Bet Boom Dachas, DreamHack Opens back in the day. So like let's say anything post-COVID, it would literally only be Blast.
Yeah.
This was our first ever PGL Grand Finals in Cluj-Napoca. Beyond that, you know, ESL throws us a quarter for the majors, but nah, man, playoffs outside of Blast are kind of far and few between.
Yeah, so for some context for people, I think like how it works is, you know, each circuit sort of has like their casters, and that's less so, it feels like, with PGL, where they kind of share the love with who's like Carrie and Hugo casted their first major in CS2 in Copenhagen, casted their grand finals. Fast forward to Shanghai, it's Sponge Machine. Fast forward to Cluj-Napoca, and it's us casting their grand finals. But when it comes to ESL, for the most part, that'll be either Chata Machine doing, you know, the really big ones, IEM Cologne, Katowice, Harry and Hugo doing some of the other ones. And then Blast is the other major tournament organizer. We've casted every single grand final since 2018, right? I guess outside of a couple of the Americas ones.
Well, that, and also I remember there was a Copenhagen where they brought back Semler to do like the big tri-cast on a finals. Yeah. But let's say again, after COVID, everything after the online era, yeah, it's been us, bro.
Yeah. So this is cool because Cluj is a place that just in the Counter-Strike world we haven't been back to in 10 years. This was special for the fans there. Of course, some of you have seen the photo of the guy who brought a sign from Cluj 10 years ago at the major. Still in pretty good condition, honestly. And you had people on there like Mantrus, who are now known as Paula. You had Scream, NBK. That's a topical name, actually. He'll be coming on as an analyst. A lot of history, but a lot of history from that one event. A lot of cultural impact, I guess, going to Cluj about 10 years ago. So it was a really special event from that perspective. And the fans definitely showed that they weren't amateur fans. And that's an interesting thing, too, because depending on where you go, you can really tell if people are cheering for every flank. And you actually called him out in one of the rounds. I don't want to hear a word from you to spoil a flank. That was really smooth. Okay, anyways, we're going to be doing a commentary review of what goes into it for Nuke of the Grand Finals. This was Falcons versus Mouse. This was a series that obviously Mouse ended up winning. They won without Shuhei. That was the big storyline. And Nuke had a couple of interesting parts about it. One of the reasons you want to watch this one, Connor, is because there was a tech pause in there, which has its own meta in terms of commentary. So why don't we hop right in?
I guess also for context, this is third map of a best of 5. So the first 2 maps are like blowouts each direction, if that's important, you know? So it's like with a BO5 as well, just pretext, you never really know how long it's going to go. A 3-0 best of 5 is actually pretty underwhelming. So this was really exciting just because we've got one map in each team's back pocket. We were like signing up for a game after a best of 3. Awesome third, fourth decider match, but one that ran super late, all things considered. So like we were starting this series being like, dude, we might be going to midnight. And then the first 2 maps go back in and forth, and then this one starts.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So this is the 13-11, all 24 rounds. All right, let's kick it off.
See the live environment, the adjustments. Like
what if I told you Paris didn't count?
That's actually such a funny one. By the way, feel free to pause whenever you want if you want to interject with a story. And I'm saying that because I want to do that right now. When we're hanging out with Richard, is like the funniest thing ever, man. He's like probably, is he the funniest guy that we work with?
I think so.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
and that's
probably.
saying a lot.
Yeah,
You know, when it's like 6 of us at a table, it's like a bunch of commentators. Like we're all yapping nonstop. It's like pretty hilarious. But Richard, though, I think he might be the funniest guy that we work with. Like he's just like him and Thorin are just, I don't know, they just don't stop. But I remember there was one moment where we were on the second floor mezzanine in the hotel for Cluj. And like this is just an off the cuff joke, but like Machine got up to leave and like rubbed Richard's head like right in the middle, and then Richard went, "Ooh, right on the bald spot. It probably smells." And we just like
unnecessary, dude.
Like why? Where'd that even come from?
Incredible commentary, like off the cuff. But also, what's funny is I find like he still does desk hosting while he's in a social circle. Like he makes sure everybody gets a chance to talk. He'll make sure to circle back if somebody got cut off, 2 minutes ago, just to see what that person's inclusion was. And yeah, he's good for that. So
good working memory on
good
that
setups.
Guy. Actually, Maddie put it this way. He's like, when if like a conversation is kind of going off the rails, like Richard will always jump in with so much confidence that like he just kind of like retracts everything and then just like sends it. So it's just pure like good content, the whole conversation all the way through.
They're like, okay, our B's weak. What are we going to do? We're going to go for the mid control, lane control. So they seem to be, just getting better and prepping every single day.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those things where for Falcons...
The words per minute, by the way, on this desk.
Fast as hell. Also, he said easy veto to predict. They got it completely wrong.
It was just a matter of time. Like we knew at the core of this team was very capable.
Sometimes you come in with too much prep.
Look, I think people slept on Mage just a little bit. Yeah, Falcons struggled. Yeah, Mage just wasn't the same start that he was back on as a Strauss.
Dust Moret's first grand final.
Handled it pretty damn well. I mean, kind of weird to think that's his first grand final, but like quality of the desks throughout from him, I think overall pretty excellent. Here, I don't know how much. Oh, okay.
Of being a high-level team.
Right there, Chief.
Yeah, thank you, gentlemen. So good at talking, those guys, huh? They just never stop.
They asked for a little extra time.
Yeah, we let them have it. Cluj, one quick question. You're still with us, right?
What a crowd, man.
Cluj.
All right. I got a quick story. We're never going to get through this VOD. So the Cluj chant, all right? Okay, the reason I actually did this chant was because Harry made a rap song using the chant that you did. What event was it? Fall final?
Oh, I remember it so well. Blast Fall Finals in the Royal Arena on the second night of playoffs. Yeah.
Okay, so here's a situation, and here's a learning experience, I think, as commentators. First of all, if you're going to talk to the crowd, always keep it dead simple. This wasn't entirely complicated, but it was a little bit confusing. So there was a 1v1 happening. It was on Ancient. Can't remember between who. And Scrawny said, let's just cheer for Counter-Strike. Let's chant clutch for this 1v1, sort of with the connotation that who cares who wins? Let's just chant clutch. And he goes, clutch, 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 clutch.
Yo, Copenhagen, let's make this one epic. Chant it with me. Clutch, 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 clutch. Come on. Clutch, 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 go.
And no one helped him out. Okay, now I'll just say, if you did this in front of the Romanian crowd, that you would have been fine.
It would have worked.
It would have worked. And that is a crowd thing, but this ended up being a very hilarious moment because it went clutch, 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 and no one helped. Honestly, I didn't even help out. I probably should have helped out. But I was like, everyone can hear this. They're just deciding that this doesn't work right now. And then Harry actually remixed the clutch, clutch, clutch into a beat, which he rapped over. And for those who don't know, Harry Russell has a ton of unreleased rap tracks that you might be able to hear from him in person, but they're just not out there on the internet. But this is one of them. So we got into Cluj, and I did this sick reference to this fumble that we had casting a game from many tournaments ago, where I said Cluj, Cluj, Cluj.
It's just crazy that it worked. I mean, like, I would just say, like, the intro to this map as well, right? Because introductions are something that I think before the best of, you go to the first map introduction for this best of 5, I hit it with that little quick speech about returning to Cluj, etc. I tapped into the Romanian nationalism, got everybody all excited and whatnot. But then, like, as a BO5 goes on, you can't just keep doing those intros. So this one was, I'd even just said it. I'm like, I got one quick question. Are you still with us? Because we're right in the middle of this, right? Again, there could literally, including this, be 3 more maps. We're in the heat of the moment. What I didn't expect right after was the Cluj chance. And I remember when you started doing it too, I looked at you like deadpan. Because I was just thinking like, oh, this isn't, like, it's not going to work, Mohan. But this is where this crowd exceeded my expectations at all times. And I don't know if it's because PGL had the speaker set up so well, but this is something that was awesome about this event was you didn't have to just address them with like loud, booming demands. You could almost have a conversational tone in Cluj and the crowd would react to that. And I don't know about you, but that to me felt incredibly unique about this experience. Like the only time we'd maybe had that was in Singapore. And I thought maybe because that was like this big like banquet hall of a room, it was like a ballroom. But this was just a full blown stadium. And we could just speak with them, which we'll see later in the tech pause as well.
Yeah, there's like a confidence that you can earn from the crowd, like as here, I'm just gonna hit play.
Very clutch, guys. That was a little too shy to try that.
Very clutch, guys.
Not doing that again.
So just a sick reference for our most dedicated fans, of course.
There's a world where you're all gonna
That's just one of those things, though, that has to work
tomorrow,
on its own. It can't just be a reference. Like inside jokes are only not going to work in a stadium where everyone's watching the game for the first time.
We're playing Counter-Strike.
Slow start to the pistols, so use that to just kind of like, again, paint a picture for people.
He's behind enemy lines. Tesses. He's just teleported into the A site. They had no idea. They were dropping vent right underneath his nose.
Brolin gonna try to do the same thing. That is a nice second tap. That suddenly turns this one back on its head. Falcons look like they had that A site completely under wraps. And how, with 4 players in that, do you offer up a reopening for a retake? Now, 4 versus 3, we're going to come in from both angles. Tesses down beneath from heaven, and down goes Brolin. Xerxian going to make quick work of the climb over the box. Tesses back sight. It's a little bit labored, and the CTs can't quite connect till Torji steps up. First one, easy. Bomb too far gone. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a Falcons T-side pistol.
That was kind of like emergency mode for me because when we saw Tessus get into mini, it's like, I got to set up a moment that's like, well, we did not know that was going to happen. Watching this VOD back, I realized you see Tessus in front of mini, but I think we both missed that moment because it was like one frame where he was just appeared. But like right here, it's like, all right, now it's like we can go right into play-by-play or we can just mention this quickly. Whoa, what a surprising thing that happened.
Also with pistol rounds, I mean, I've said it before, I'll say it again. It's like you just want to keep me in the mode to do play-by-play because pistols is where anything can happen. Like you can turn around a pistol, you can get a crazy 4K. Like unarmored headshots just mean the wild can occur. So keep Mohan out of those rounds. We'll have anti-ecos, etc. to go through for him.
We've got nuke where Falcons thrive. 5-7 up close though. Little bit of struggle sprinkled in.
Did want to talk about that. So this 5-7 moment, that I'll just set it up then. This 5-7 moment that is about to take place. It's like the question in your head is like, is he getting 3 kills here? Because he gets like his first 2, and then you hang on your word for a second, right?
This could very well be the beginning of the end. We've got Train as a 5th map, never seen by Mouse. We've got nuke where
I think also just to say this setup here, like the observer's doing a better job than I am to set up the possibility of a Spinks multi-kill because he just showed 3 guys walking into a close proximity hut play, and he's now highlighting that 5-7's on the door. I'm talking about what the analysts were mentioning, right? So my conversation is actually outside of the server right here. And that's also, I think, in part why I linger on the sound after the first 2 kills, because it's me kind of catching up. But luckily, Shev and Jay are the best observers in the game, so.
Falcons thrive. 5-7 up close, though. Little bit of struggle sprinkled in. Brolin able to lock down Squeaky Door. It's a good fight back from the force buy.
Struggle was a good word there.
1v4 queued up. Now, one player still smoked off. He goes towards the door. They fumbled this one.
Crushed at every single peak. They tried the upper hit and, well, let that 5-7 ring off like Reigns in the last match. My goodness, shut down on the A site.
Just got really quiet in here.
Yeah.
Obviously, Falcons being cheered for this entire event.
Yeah, that's another thing that we have to think about when we're commentating is like, who does the crowd want to win? Because like, you know, if you're casting Cloud9 in Boston, you're gonna be cheering for Cloud9. I don't care how much you hate them, you're European, whatever the case may be. The crowd cheering for whoever they cheer for, that's who you want to win. Like whoever paid for a ticket to come to the event.
A map that, as aptly brought up on the desk, has improved with Nico. As Dust said, Heroic weren't exactly known for Nuke, but Nico obviously is. And I've always said having Nico on Nuke is like having 6 players on a team. He can instantly make this map so much easier just by playing outside by himself on both sides.
Yeah, not just by playing by
This
himself.
was such a
but
great
like
desk in
Maui's
terms
Snake
of
put
like
it, everybody who
calling
plays
back
next
to
him
those
simply
moments.
gets better.
Not a good smoke. They will pop this. Jimpat has to be careful.
We'll see if he can.
I like that you interject here again with the round. I'm talking about the desk. You emphasize Connor round.
Deagle's gonna try to chase him. That's another tag. So now
Yeah, that one you could smell it. Low econ, like that's like a tiny advantage, but on a round where you don't have guns, like they're gonna take this. So yeah, that'll be a moment that's like a risk for me. Like, all right, I'm sure they're gonna go through this. Technically, they could just wait the smoke out, but it's better to point it out if it happens.
The other side of ramp to make sure they aren't going heaven. Exertion playing sneaky. He can't see everything.
I don't know.
You have good speed here, good tempo in your voice, because you're doing what you do, but it's in a mid round.
Where he is, Nico gets killed trying to join.
And again, an unlikely situation, but
to get that bomb down, Dexter also done for. Exertion, solid 3K recovery, majority alive there for Mouse as things look sketchy for a second.
One thing we talked about before we went to the grand finals was how much of the stories we were going to use in the beginning of the rounds, at the beginning of the maps. I think we did do a good job of like saving stuff as the series went on.
yeah, that's a criticism we've had of ourselves, where it's like, you know, you do so much prep and you want to get into the game, and then you just want to like really emphasize to the viewer like how important this is and how exciting this could be, and you know all the stuff that goes into the match. But when is the best moment to use the historical contextualization of a game? Do you want to do it at the start of the map, or should you save it for like the 6 rounds before a trophy lift? And yeah, we did a good job of hesitating more.
Who are the 2 people you really think of, Launders?
The man you mentioned, Shuhei and Kixan, who called for Apex
And
in
so
that same
Mouse,
major.
they're here right now trying to prove that they can do it without Shuhei. And that is a possibility. We've seen what they're able to offer so far in playoffs, but I present a problem for them. Not only do you
This is a
have to
rare
do it
occasion
without
where I
Shuhei,
actually had
now
something
you have
that
to
we
do
talked
it
about before the game
against
went live, where I was
Kixan.
like, yo,
These are
Mo,
the 2
aren't
big
Shuhei and
IGLs
Kixan kind of the 2 guys
kinda
of the
put
last
themselves
year in terms of
forward in recent
IGLs? And
years.
you confirmed that to me.
And a lot of the
And this was
difference
me
could
kind of
very
like
well
setting
boil down
myself
to
up for a
that calling.
conversation, because I asked you the question again, even though you knew what the answer that I was looking for was. And that's why maybe this round is one of those rare moments where you hear me doing some color, just color in the terms of like not analysis, but just more so the greater conversation around Counter-Strike and in-game leadership.
Yeah, you're good at finding that one story the desk missed. And of course, there's kind of infinite ways you can go, especially on a desk that's like as competitive as it was throughout every iteration of Cluj. It's kind of hard to bring up stories that they didn't grab. Like even Dust bringing up the fact that Nuke wasn't really a heroic homestay, but the fact that they have Nico now makes it really good for them. Is like a super strong angle for this map. It kind of carries the entire, like both halves, to be honest, in terms of what's possible. So yeah, you got to be on it to like catch something they don't get.
Bottom of the silo. Here we go. First guns for Falcons. It's a delayed attempt.
This is a lazy clear from Nico.
All because you couldn't convert
Unlucky or bad?
versus lesser
Oh,
weapons,
yeah,
but
just realized we just
Yeah, I
did the
know.
unlucky or bad
Dexter
on this
spent
map.
ample
Yeah.
amounts of time highlighting Nico outdoors. I mean, Richard was shaking in his little boots, talking about how scary this was supposed to be. Xertion, not too concerned about it.
Oh, we didn't clear it properly. Took a glance, but no commitment. Torzi's little bait works out, and he rotates in.
Spinks keeps his head down while boosted. Easy pickups.
Oh my God, he got
Way too easy.
Yeah, they're just trying to wrap up the point as
I
quickly
just
as possible,
picked them
because obviously
apart.
that attack was
was
coming
amazing.
in.
I think as well, if you want to rewind this one for
Yeah.
me. This is perfect because you can tell the tempo increase when you go to pass this back to me. I grab it because obviously Spinks is going to catch players off guard. We step on each other's toes a little bit with our like oohs and ahs as this mowdown happens.
Yeah.
But because the kills occur so quickly in one like this, it's like, I don't want to be wordy. It's also, even though it's a gun round, it feels pretty clear that this is just going to be a mowdown. And then I think there's like a little dead air pause after, because one, you can let the moment just kind of breathe. But additionally, because we kind of had a little, it's like, who's going to pick it up? It should be you, and it ultimately is you. But I like that we, I think leave it open in case.
Yeah.
And that's always such a great way to, at the end of a round, like, you know, some people don't like jumbled commentary on top of it, but this is I think a good example of like a fast back and forth in an ooh-ah moment, and then just stop, because it's like it's scrambled and you let it unwind.
So my logic here is that if there is a lot of, let's compare it to like, you know, the Twist Canada call and like how that round kind of pans out. You can see the play happening out of spawn. And so, you know, I can't even remember who talks and who doesn't, but, you know, Machine takes most of it there. Because I think there's so much foreshadowing to like what's about to happen, it's very easy for the handoff to be like, all right, can it even give you an extra 5 seconds before it takes place? But in this moment, this is a play that I think it's not a surprise that it's going to be a ramp pop, but it's sort of happening very fast from the inception of the idea to, okay, we're hitting ramp. So I'm thinking I come in at the end again, because there's probably nothing special that you're going to have prepared for the play if it is some kind of spray down. So it's a play that's going to be worthy of a big sort of like, whoa, reaction, just like a raw, visceral reaction. But it's not going to be one that's like, oh, you've got a line for it.
Right.
So then when you talk as well, I think that's when we get jumbled up. So that would be a moment where I'll place a bet in my head that, okay, Scrawny's probably got like, he's going to be able to cast this. He's probably not going to have anything super special for it. Okay, I'll just come in afterwards in case he ends up stopping abruptly. But I think if we don't take those kinds of risks, we never really get the tight commentary.
Yeah, and I think that's what we're going to be looking for as this cast goes on. Is it's like I always look for those tight back and forths. Like that's something that we know we do well. It's something that we value. We put on that pedestal is like the golden. That's like the flow state of us, I think.
Yeah.
So also the score is 3-1. We're not sending anything at this point.
Yeah.
But no commitment. Torzy's little bait works out, and he rotates in.
Spinks keeps his head down while boosted. Easy pickups. Oh my God.
There's no shade under the nose of a Sphinx.
Underrated line.
So underrated.
Apart and putting together a wonderful honeymoon.
Always scary when you see stuff like that in the crowd because you have no idea what it is.
What it means. Yeah.
Better just not talk about it.
Xertion versus Nico outside, currently 1-0 for the CT.
That was a great thing to highlight as well,
Nico's got that Desert
because this
Eagle,
is
and
Xertion
Nico
trying to
with a
like
little
complete a
setup
tournament
by
run while
Tessis.
looking like the
With
best,
these
and also
two
take down his
tethered
biggest
so
demon, which is
well
Nico.
back on the mid setups of Mirage.
And the guy who
Trying to
was
get that
painted as
going
being
again.
the king of outer.
Into the secret, and Xertion's position's gonna very quickly catch Tessis off guard. Ooh.
There's the message. Nice one, Xertion.
Jim Pat
What more is there to say, dude?
Last
Versus
couple
attack,
bolts
nice little
connected
smoke
to
pop.
Kazan. And Falcons hoping they can get some guns going because these pistols aren't finding any kind of openings. Just as fast as Mirage started, we are already 5-1 up for Mouse.
We're starting about.
And like
yeah,
right
9
there,
players
you're like
alive
getting
in the
ready to
last 2
slow it
rounds.
down
This
because you
eco
know that it's like 5-1.
brings Falcons
It's actually
nothing,
likely
and
going to
yeah,
be
it's
attack
only an eco,
pause.
but it actually matters
A
of
moment
time. We're
where
already
you know
breaching
there's
10K
nothing. It's
on
not tight
3
enough. They're
players.
like, what's happening next
Basically
round?
4 here
It's
if you count Jim Pat's
both teams are going to be
$9,700.
thinking now. Mouse, how do we extend this lead? Falcons, how do we get back into this game? But both of those
I thought there was
options
a
are going
very
to take
fair
like a
criticism
moment to
by
like
the analysts
recollect
back
their
before
thoughts.
this
And
third
so
map started, and that
can
we
see
never really saw kind of
the
you know,
way that you're doing the
well-timed
commentary
tactical
there,
timeout
it's sort of
from
like,
Cyclone
all
and
right,
Brolin
everybody,
trying to
let's
adapt
take a
and make
breath.
new
What's
call.
happening here?
Where was that? You know,
Yeah,
Dust
yeah.
seemed pissed, and I think rightfully so.
That's
And then going back into the analyst here again, I think, honestly, dude, this is something when a desk gives us ammunition, I'm more than happy to continue referencing that conversation because it's still super relevant. We're only 6 rounds away from the desk. You know, it's the second or third time I've alluded to them. So,
Dude, the Jimmy, the fucking
The
blasted
Jimmy
all the
love
way
is
through the
crazy,
finals,
dude.
dude. What the fuck? He's got so much
I don't
out
know,
of
either
that.
it's
I don't know.
cloudy
Do you
with
think
it, or he's just, you
Zipix
know,
actually just
obviously getting
retweeted
used to
him
it.
his like
And I think that's
porn?
something that
Do you think he actually did
everyone
that the way
IGL.
Jimmy said on Pro League?
Calling
I don't know, man.
is a job.
surely not.
But you know what? It
Surely
doesn't even
not.
matter. Jimmy
something
owned it
I've brought
so
up
well.
before
Like he
about
handled that
the
better
great
than you, like
IGLs
anybody could have handled
of
that.
our
I
time.
think. Like there's that story
If
of when
anything,
Blue
he has
Blue
more
fell
aura.
in the
He
pool when he
created
was.
aura.
Remember when Blue fell in the
as
pool
the
with a
game
whole
goes
tray of
on
ribs
and they
when he was
collect a little
high,
bit more information,
and then
their
he
com-
got
their
really nervous about it and
communication
ran
gets a little bit
inside.
more
See, if that was
and they can
Jimmy,
organize
like he would
5
have just been
players
like,
within
anybody want this
and
joint? You know what I mean?
create a round
Like
that has
he would have
those
found a way to
subtle
own that. But you got to.
and just
No one's
make
gonna get
one
mad at you
direct
for
part of
watching
the map
porn.
that they
Fishes a
another.
rib out of the
And in
pool
those
and just
moments when we
chomps on
saw
it, dude. That's the
Mirage,
Jimmy.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
Mouse would-
Also, at this point, by
those
the way,
rounds
tech
where they're
pause.
not working,
So
Kerrigan would be
I
working.
think this might be the one.
Yeah, this
If
one's a
this
good
is the tech pause that I'm thinking of, we'll maybe it's not just yet, so we'll let it run a little bit longer. But this I just want to say is like Mohan going into because between the two of us, you are very good at monologuing, and sometimes in tech pauses like these, obviously these are your parts of the tech pause. Tech tax ends of rounds, like this is when Launders does his thing, and this is one of those moments where we have no clue how long it's gonna go on with a tech issue. So you know, you can speak more to it, but it's like, again, we come in with a tank full of conversation topics that we want to hit throughout the series. And the challenge is when do you put those things into the conversation or the cast?
So,
and at this point, a tech pause is a moment where you can burn through a bunch of stuff too quickly if you're not careful.
yeah, the best part about it, I think there's two parts. It's like, one, if it's a pause like this, I think in my head, I'm like talking as if it's attack, first of all. So then I'm like, I've got about 20 seconds. The nice thing about that is even if it's attack, there's a 15-second freeze time to lead in and lead out. So I know that I can even start like a longer point and just kind of finish it more abruptly once we're in game. But since it becomes a tech pause and I realize it, I start with points that are a little smaller, and then I go into the bigger narrative stuff that I often do on YouTube, just like practicing storylines about Shuhei, practicing storylines about Nico, and talking about more of their history. Because like I can just go back to like whatever year based on how long, like a rotary phone, just like ring it all the way back, depending on how much time I know I have to talk. And if it goes into a tech pause, I see someone lean back, someone take one ear cup off, then I can really just go back, Nico 2017, and then bring it all the way back. And then I know that even if I go that far back, if we come out of the pause, there's going to be enough forewarning visually from the camera shots, as well as knowing I've got guaranteed 15 seconds when we fly back in a game and you start hearing the guns getting switched and spawn. So that makes it really easy for me to be like, feel confident that I can go and pull up like one of the big stories. But yeah, it's nice because there's no point in the game other than attack pause that I can really talk about history. Like just period.
Right. Without having to be like contextualized by, you know, being broken up. Like you try to have that conversation over multiple rounds, obviously over play-by-play can occur.
One player on his team.
But I think this is the tech issue that takes a bit of time.
Full scope of the call. You know, that's
So, like,
that's only in his mind.
Something like that. You
He
see
just tells
Spinks
you
put
what
his
you
hands on the
have
back
to
of his
do,
chair. It's like, all right, I
and he
know
makes it
mentally
look
I've got a
like this
minute minimum.
masterpiece of a
2
round
minutes.
in the end. And I think that's, you know, the influence of playing under someone like that could lead you to believe that maybe you could do it too.
Sure.
But there's only one Kerrigan.
Of course. I
You
mean,
know,
Yes,
and
this is the tech
it's
issue.
very
This is the
hard
one.
to reach that standard. Oh my goodness.
honestly, like we've seen delusional players play under great in-game leaders and think they could do it themselves.
Yes,
I think
it happened
Electronic is an
to
example of that.
Electronic, it happened to
And this is a moment where I want to give
Twist also
credit
called-
to what Mohan's talking about, because it's like, you know, this is the position of a play-by-play where do I engage with a conversation that maybe I'm a little less informed on, or that I don't need to inject my opinions per se, but I still need to have a conversation with you. I need to hold the ball, roll it around in my hands, and then give it back, just so that you can continue speaking without being the only guy talking for 10 minutes, right? Like a conversation is what commentary is at its core. And that's why there always has to be back and forth. Now I have a choice. Do I recognize and I could almost undermine the importance of what you brought up previously, because now there's a giant ass beer snake on screen.
Yeah.
And like, that's pretty funny. That's
Yeah.
cool. You know, and like the crowd's cheering for it. And I understand why production is looking for things to fill tech issues, because they don't want to just sit on dead air. But I'm not going to allude to it right here, because again, we're in a grand finals. We're in a map 3. The game and the context and the result is still up on a pedestal. So that's why if you ever wonder, like, why aren't casters talking about the beer cans? It's like, because the two of us, are the only two people in this conversation. And that conversation between us, it's our philosophy, is like, you know, it's so important.
I'll just say the other thing is that you could mention something that's really funny happening on stream that a camera finds, but that's also a very short moment. And once it's over, then you've got to jump to something else. So it can be a lot better to just invest in some greater conversation or idea than to mention every small thing that happens, because then you'll be left lost when there's no more content to jump around to from the cameras. And like, there's no more beer snakes happening. People are just getting kind of tired. And then suddenly you've got to restart a point, and then now it might be too late to do the bigger conversation about the history, Electronic, Kerrigan, Shuhei, whatever it is.
Yep, it's the fast food right now if you were to talk
Fast
about
food,
beer
sure.
cans. So we'll let it burn, and then again, we go back into the in-game leader conversation.
There was a content piece
That is a long beer snake, though.
It's a massive. It was very hard to ignore. I can't remember if I ever like actually bring it up. It's a double decker.
It's kind of insane, yeah. Like, I mean, it's worth. No, it was. I was constantly thinking about whether or not we should go there, but I knew that like I didn't even have a great joke for it, you know. So like, whoa, Jimmy's happy, you know. So I'm like,
he can at least start faster.
Yes, for sure. And I came into this tournament expecting to see nothing.
Do something like this. Now the crowd's cheering over our conversation. It doesn't matter. We're having a conversation about in-game leadership.
Also, that's great, man. Like, we're happy as long as the crowd is happy about something.
For sure.
I don't think we
Because
ever...
we're talking for the people at home in this
There are some
moment as
players
well,
that were
right?
made to call a lot of those rosters that no one could anticipate making it that deep. You have Gamer Legion when Shuhei called for them.
We're talking about 2023, dude.
Yeah. We're trying to rein in this era of... Yeah.
There it is. So this I want to highlight.
Wait, what does that say on the phone?
Scrawny, chug that beer.
Okay.
So in this moment, for a second here, you hear Mohan pause. Mohan loses his train of thought for a second. And nobody at home will know this, but it's because I started to realize that we were finally getting out of this tech pause. And in order to do that, I wanted to kind of hype the crowd up in a way. And thanks to the PGL setup, we're down next to the stage. So I know very well that the crowd pretty much sees us and at times is watching us do our thing. So I looked at Mohan, and hand signals are kind of a thing in commentary that some casters use much more than others. Like Moses is somebody where, he's so great at casting with anybody because I find him very strong in his hand throws. Like he's always going to give you one of these when it's time to cast. But between the two of us, we don't really do it that often. I think more body language, maybe like leaning into each other will do. But this was one where I decided, in order to get back into the game with a bit of hype, to bring us back from a conversation about in-game leaders that goes back to 2023, I started one of those like Kerrigan, Cadian claps above my head. And you're talking and I'm literally just facing out to the crowd, trying to get them to do this. But before I started, because I didn't want it to just look to you like I'm just going to, wander off and look at the crowd instead of listen to the conversation that I tried to help set up, I gave you one of these. Out of nowhere. 7 years of casting together, never done that to you ever. I just looked you in the eyes and I went, yeah.
It was like one of those things that, like, if aliens came to Earth, this would be one of the universal signs they'd understand. We tried to interpret it there. This is a moment Connor kind of fucked me up, but because he was trying to be gracious, like he was trying to be like, all right, you just keep talking. Don't worry about what I'm doing right now. And like, I'm going to start hyping up the crowd. But I think in the future, it would be like, if I'm talking, then there should only be signs to kind of stop or change something. And then everything else just keeps going. But yeah, he hit me with one of these. And then I was like, and kicks in. I was like, not sure if I had to, you want me to speed up this tech pause or.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you start to hear the claps to happen. So that's why, again, after all this smooth talking, you hear it this moment.
Gamer Legion when Shuhei called for them. You have a situation where players with JL
like, is something on fire right now?
Come out of and get contracts for Na'Vi.
And what I didn't expect was that I believe PGL now puts me on camera while I'm doing it.
The IGLs that call for them.
Which looks ridiculous, dude.
And now you have Kicks in with his newest team.
Yeah, Connor after he's like, I wish they didn't put me on camera though.
In the grand finals.
Yeah.
That's a cool shot though. It's just like the shadow.
With the stack of beer getting longer than ever.
And there we go. Now
Finally.
We've mentioned the beer cans, dude, because we wrapped up the conversation.
Yes.
We did the crowd thing. We know we're going back into game, I believe, soon. Or maybe I misread it with how much we were going back in. But
I think so.
Now we're using the fast foods. Now we're having fun. Now
I think that thing might reach us. I've actually heard the rumor is we're going to get a return for all those cans, and that makes up the prize pool. So don't drop it.
Now we can be funny.
We had some funny ones. I can't remember if it was on Nuke, but
there's a chance we make a can train from here all the way back to Bucharest.
So what did they actually, I never asked this, but like, how did they do it?
You're saying that thing is 6 hours.
I don't know.
Like, this surely isn't tape, right? I guess it has to be.
So this, dude, you actually alluded to this
moment for
perfectly.
this.
Like you said before, when we didn't mention the beer cans, the thing is because those moments get consumed quickly. Listen to the pauses between us now. Now we're jumping between subjects. Like we make a couple of jokes about the beer can. Oh yeah. Oh, it's gonna go back to Bucharest.
You just saw Zonic.
That's what pays the prize money.
But you just saw Zonic with his headphones still like over his ears, which like people might think like we get to see that actively through the whole time. A lot of times we're relying on what viewers see at home because it's much easier just to focus on the monitor than it is to like look over at the players and see what's going on. So like it becomes very apparent all of a sudden that, okay, actually this tech pause is not done. We did just finish this historical point. We did mention the beer cans now. And then Scrawny kind of goes into, all right, this can be another 2-3 minutes by going to talk to the crowd.
Because another thing is, PGL, obviously, they're in the middle of trying to fix the problem, right? So, like, I don't know if people expect us to have all the information as to when things are supposed to jump back into action, but a lot of the times we're literally flying dark here. We have sometimes you'll get like a little insider info. There'll be like TeamSpeak issue. Good. That's going to take 30 seconds. Monitor problem. Okay, you know, you've got 3-4 minutes. But this one was one where we didn't quite know. So luckily, again, this was what I was talking about at the start of this, where it's because we can be conversational with the crowd in a downtime moment, this starts to happen.
For how many of you out there is this your first Counter-Strike event?
Speak clearly and concisely
And I think
with
that's
crowds.
a testament
Yeah.
to as to why we have to visit new cities, because Counter-Strike 10 years ago came to Cluj-Napoca, and in that time, we all know what this thing grew into. And I think that's the beauty of what PGL have done here, bringing it back, taking a chance, and for you guys to show up. I just want to say on behalf of everybody involved, players, talent, production, thank you guys for showing up and being so goddamn awesome. You can see Torji on stage soaking it in. I hope each of you have made a friend so far this weekend, sitting shoulder to shoulder alongside people who love this game as much as you is something special.
Yeah, I think moments like this are great for gratitude, and I think that's
right.
the takeaway.
PGL
For
chant.
friendship.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I remember we were
Some people who meet here today
talking about the crowd with
will be
Silvio, and
friends for the
Silvio
rest
was
of
like,
their
PGL's a
lives.
religion here, is what he said.
And
That's
you
really
just get
proved
to
it.
watch some great games in the process.
And the reason that there is
Also-
no event like this in Bucharest is because there's no stadiums in Bucharest, which is so weird.
So perfectly done, I would say, by us, bro. We did the conversation part. We talked Counter-Strike. We switched in. We fast food beer can. Thought, you know, gratitude. Shout out PGL as well. They started synchronizing the spotlights on the crowd with the PGL chant.
Yeah.
Right? Those guys are waiting on every moment, every word, really, to try to throw us another tool or like something to elevate a moment.
Oh yeah, like
that.
Chad and
So-
Alex had the beer moment during because their 50-round game. I think Chad brought it up, and then they brought us beers too because Seb was like, "Yeah, let's get everyone beers," and then Connor was like, "No, don't drink the beer when the stream comes to us because we don't want to like take away from the Chad and Alex moment." And then when the game was like about to get started, I like made a snap decision. I said, "Shout out to Chad and Alex," and then just drank the beer because it was like so hype. But it was like PGL's idea to bring the beers out for Chad and Alex. It was PGL who really did an excellent job with like trying to milk as many of the crowd moments as possible. And I mean, literally, like Seb was a clown, right?
Yeah, our producer,
Seb-
main
our
producer,
producer.
PGL, was a clown.
He was a professional clown. I mean, the best part about that was at the HLTV Awards, Jackie, who is another commentator you guys probably know, brought, because Jackie is just a guy who loves a good gimmick and to entertain people. So he brought balloons and like a thing to blow up balloons, and then made balloon animals for people. Obviously, like the most simple creatures. But he didn't know that he was bringing balloons to a party that had a professional clown at it. And so Seb came through and started making people fucking crowns, started making people fucking like using his balloons. The only way he could have got outclassed right there was by a professional clown. And there was Seb, our PGL producer, ready to outshine the guy who brought balloons. That was so awesome.
Out-clowned, man. How often does somebody get out-clowned in the real world? We saw it before our very eyes.
He just made a clown
Yeah.
feel like a loser. What a
Yeah,
guy.
right? Shout out Seb. Yeah, but just final. That's why PGL deserves, I think, a chant in that moment, because honestly, like, and it's not even like they tried to like use the crowd to elevate their event because it was lacking in other regards. No, man, it was like deserved, and I think that PGL is really cool because PGL from start to finish actually kind of feels like you're just drinking beers with the boys from the studio setup. You know, like you got to take your shoes off when you go to the PGL studio. Everyone's walking around in socks. That actually just makes everybody kind of more. It feels like you're in your living room.
Yeah.
In a fun way, and it's all hands on deck, like with packing up after the event and stuff. I've seen makeup ladies packing up equipment
Spinning cables
after
and
the end of a
stuff, yeah.
broadcast day, like rolling up cables, and it's like that's where at PGL it's actually a family. So that's why you can crack a beer with the boys,
It's true. It has real startup energy.
right? And then tech pause issue.
After a delayed tech,
Tack
we got
timeout.
PCs switched out. Shout out to the admins. All the players behind the scenes that make this possible.
So it's
15
pretty
seconds
perfect.
or so, and we
Got
jump right
the
back into
crowd
this nuke.
back together.
Can Falcons respond?
Didn't
That's the big question.
try to hype them up the entire way through. That would have been silly.
You'd think, surely. Again, beautiful picture painted by the analyst, but a lot of that hinged on the individual level of guys like Nikos.
And Scrawny's trying to let me
Launders,
in here,
6
but I didn't have
rounds
a
in.
point right there.
Where is it?
Yeah, I mean, we haven't had many rifle opportunities. We have a situation where Nico goes outside once, gets countered by
Now it's
exertion because
remembering
he
what
half-clears
we
something.
forgot during that
There's
sort of
still more to give
elongated
here.
pause.
This half is not beyond saving, but it is the start that makes you think it could end up like Mirage if they're not careful.
Ooh, see ya.
Because we've had two blowouts. This was crazy. He didn't hear it. Yeah.
Fully.
Kind of turned his back to this. No way you didn't notice that. Tess just jumped over top of your head.
No. They hear.
His knees crunched.
What? They heard him hit the ground.
Jim Pat gets blasted down at a secret. I mean, that
Tess is
audio
like,
cue
yeah,
somehow
okay.
goes unnoticed. And now we're starting to watch the Falcons get the kills that a lot of people hope they would. So,
Nah, he had like a spider cam view of Spinks inside Mini as he ran off of the metal, jumped onto the floor by Unbreakable, which is a very standard thing to do, and Spinks heard it all. But somehow that wasn't calmed, wasn't noticed.
This one
I
I get
have no idea.
This moment
Either
I get
way,
stun locked on
you
because
can see what one small moment can do.
kind
to
of
a
is the
round.
whole
5v2
round. Like his teammate
now
dies
with
in
Tess
hell
up in
because of
heaven.
the jump.
that's coming from a guy who's 11
It's not
and 2
actually
at the
that
moment,
fun
playing
when a
lights out
round
at the start
boils
of
down to
map
something
3.
like that.
Oh, he was
But
so
it
confused
also
making
is
sure he was
something
running
that
around
if you
because
talk,
that was supposed to
it's
be the guy
intellectually
dueling him.
dishonest to start talking about
cut
other
him off
parts
from
of the
getting up
round that
there.
are
But now
interesting.
things are going
Because
perfectly
really,
here
if
for the
that one
Falcons.
moment was
They
just
can
communicated,
sew in
not
all
even
their
if he was
seeds of
killed,
paranoia on
the
both
whole
the
map
upper
is
and lower
safe.
side as the
You know,
CTs
they
have
watch
to
this
pick
demo
very
and
reserved
it's like,
positions.
yeah, okay, oops.
Don't
I would also say
think
beyond that,
there's no
it's
way.
weird because we're coming out of the tech.
This would have to be a 2
You know, like
versus
we're
5.
just getting a feel back to get like
Well, it's
serious
begun.
into the
He
game
goes
again,
well.
and then the first
Roland,
round back is just
kickstand
like
is
a
2.
pile of baloney.
But also,
So it's a bit more
I don't know if
jarring.
They want to think about this.
It's like it is actually
With their HP,
genuinely
that's their own
confusing
problem. They
in
have
that
lots of
moment to
money,
like try to get a grasp
is
back to
something.
like pace and gravitas and
Okay,
The
do you want
beauty
to
of it is, yeah,
skip
okay, you
ahead
can
to catch
still
the end of the game now that we've done the beginning, the tech pause, then we skip some of the rounds in the middle because this is a map that goes 24 rounds.
yeah,
so
I
there is
think we
obviously
should
recovery.
at least come back in for second pistol because that's a
Yeah.
turning point. You know, that's after Nico's horrible half because the whole entire analyst desk was talking about how Nico's going to dominate outer, which is what we brought into the commentary multiple times. It was an incredibly flat half. Boom. Pistol ace. It's like the possibility of turning it all around actually happens in round 13. So, you know, we're 9-3 in at a halftime. And shout out PGL because we get to actually just have half-times instead of pauses.
2, 13-4 Mirage.
Yeah, when's
And
the close
here it
map?
is. you know,
kind of a good way to
insinuating
start
like we
best
could
of
have another
5.
blowout here. So we don't know if you actually have to
something
start to
brewing.
get excited over this game or
Getting
not.
back
And
on
then
schedule after that
Nico
Astralis
happens.
matchup. You know what I'm saying? Here we go. Second pistol at hand. Anybody could take this from Falcons. And a pistol could kickstart the comeback. Like you said, making them look like geniuses to show some resilience in the face of an unexpected challenge. Obviously, Maus don't want anything to do with that. Spinks brimming with confidence after his first half. There he is. Finally, a glimmer of what Nico can offer, but he can't do it all. Magisk is already down
Liar.
to 8 health, or can he? Nico,
Or can he?
4 kills already! And you saw what he wanted. A little energy from the team. 5th one queued up. Is Bosnian brilliant.
I just like ready up some of those yells. I like literally like
You
look
want
up.
it?
To indiscriminate yelling just because it's just, you know, it's just so exciting. It's like, okay,
N-I-K-O.
Yeah, that was a good line too, actually. I forgot that you added that.
KO.
You waited a little bit. N-I-K-O. Let's run that back just because I love my own voice. I love pistol rounds because they can happen so quickly and kills are fast, right? As long as it's headshots, they're so quick. So from a play-by-play perspective, like, it's such a classic trap, and I've fallen into it multiple times too, where like you assume a pistol's done the same way you can assume a 1v4 with rifles is done, but you can't because it's so much more possible for crazy pistol rounds to happen than crazy rifle rounds. So that's why you try to keep it alive. You always keep the hope alive. So I want to break this one down just because it's like it's a play-by-play's paradise.
Obviously,
I think
Maus
pistols
don't want
rounds.
anything to do with that. Spinks brimming with confidence after his first half.
So again, I kind of get caught out in the first 2 kills talking about Spinks instead, right? Spinks is brimming with confidence. I said anybody can shut it down because at this point, again, we're talking about a
'Cause he's
potential
19-4,
10-3, 4
they're
Maus.
winning,
Yeah, it's over. So I kind of get, again, start of the round, kind of get caught in the Nico kills.
There he is. Finally,
Crowd-
a glimmer of what Nico
Gets excited. I see the upper hit happening. Now, Nico's 2 kills outside are great, but I'm not going to start overselling like it's done because, again, I see a way back in for Maus, and it's happening. It's not a possibility. It is happening. Upper is
of what
falling.
Nico can offer.
What can Nico offer? We saw a glimmer of what he can
but he
offer.
Can't do it all.
Can't do it all.
It's also good though. I mean, even if it's not true, it's the same bet that you're making verbally as you do when you talk about Spinks instead of Nico when the half
Yeah.
kicks off, because he's the guy who is about to dominate Falcons. They're about to 3-1 this series because Mouse are just so good. It should have been a closer first half. So it's all probabilities. You have to say something before a play happens. If you just react to every single kill that happens, it's the worst kind of commentary. It's kill feed commentary, as people like
Which
to say.
is why I think if I give myself credit here, instead of, you know, making it like, oh, I wrote off. It's like, no, guys, what I've done here is Nico is still smoked off in main. But whose POV did we just switch to? Magisk's. So what am I going to say? Well, Nico can't do it all. Why? Because now we're watching Magisk. Because if Magisk was to get a kill, or if Magisk was to offer 2 clean headshots right here, then it's a perfect segue. Nico can't do it all. Switch to Magisk. There's his helping hand. Boom, 2 kills from backside.
Yeah. It also throws Magisk a bone there, right? Because it's like,
Yep.
Yeah, because it makes that moment way more exciting for him. Obviously, Magic's about to have a nightmare series. But he deserves that, right? He deserves that opportunity to prove. Even
I'm
if
also
you don't
thinking about
believe that Magic's 2-9 is going to be able to get that clip, Nico also only has 3 kills.
Yes, sir. Yep. And it's because I'm also thinking about the Magisk Katowice Dust 2 A-Site pistol clip. Like, Magisk has at least given me a reason to believe in his pistols lately.
To do with that. Spinks brimming with confidence after his first half. There he is. Finally, a glimmer of what Nico can offer, but he can't do it all.
Because Magisk's turn.
Magisk is already down to...
But Magisk dies, and shout out Chev, he switches back to Nico. We actually catch all 5 kills this pistol round. All 5 of the CT kills get caught by this, right? And now 3 kills in. The moment somebody has 3 kills and you know he's got 2 duels into this bomb site, he's got majority of his health still, this is an aceable round. And so I think that's why you crank the hype, because the crowd wants a Falcons pistol. The crowd wants a close map. They are 3 maps into this series. They've not had a close affair yet. Everybody in the room wants a good grand finals, regardless of who you're cheering for. A Nico ace, as he is the most popular player in the server, you know, like this could be that moment, and it ends up being it. So you got to start, like, we've had conversational moments. We've been talking through the 9th. No, all that goes out the window. The crowd hypes and you crank it.
Can he?
Can he? Open possibility.
Nico! 4 kills already. And you saw what he wanted. A little energy from the team. 5th one, Cuda. It is Bosnian brilliant.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Ramp, I think you gave him 3 moments, and it actually didn't matter like the way that you staged it, because it was 3 Nico moments in each of those sentences that led to this like thing. And then the crowd did such a great job right there, instantly chanting even before that kill came up.
Yes, sir. Yeah. They're on it, man. They were so in. And I'll say, too, though, like, a little bit of this is, I know, obviously, I had Bosnian Brilliance in the back of my mind. That was just prepped. You know, you can throw it on anything. But it's the kind of thing that you only drop once it's been concluded. Some lines you want to, you know, some hype moments you want to build really hard as they're occurring. And to be honest, I thought he was going to wait for his teammates before peeking for the last kill, which is why I said you saw what he wanted. Because at halftime, he was, like, yelling at his teammates, trying to fire them up. So another quick little callback. You saw what he wanted. He's making it happen himself. Then he kind of catches me off by re-peeking faster than I expected, because he's in a reload, right? He's got a teammate Hut. He's got a teammate Heaven. I'm thinking he's going to wait a bit. And he swings as soon as the reload's done. Dead air. Crowd's loud. I see that you don't have an immediate interjection, so I throw into something else, right? Like Bosnian Brilliance.
You want it? You got it! N-I-K-O.
Nice down ramp. As the chant is ending, you know, from the shrills of a into the N-I-K-O, like smooth downtrend.
Yeah, the crowd's just
and
doing
we're
so
out
much there too. It's like you can just why even overplay it? Like every moment, it's just how excited are people going to be able to, you know, get watching it? And then if you're in a stadium, you have the advantage of like you can hear the viewers at home now in person. You know, like
yeah.
Mao's just got dropped into it.
Now there's a fire, and this half does end up going the distance.
Yeah. Okay, let's skip ahead a few
That
rounds
is
here.
It's just exactly what we needed to make this game interesting too. So shout out Nico.
This is the point in the game where it gets more serious. There's gonna be less jokes. It's gonna be every round just sort of swings back and forth.
Have to be extremely careful again.
Every mistake
but
matters
no surprise,
so much more.
The game he's having, and he wins his duel versus Magic, even though Magic is hoping someone comes into.
You even got a little more. You've got
Kill
drama in your
could've
voice,
stopped
and
things.
this is what he's
the one
hoping
who's
for.
fighting fit.
Now he's.
Yeah, sometimes you're a reflection of the people watching. I think in moments like this, you want to be a reflection of how it feels in TeamSpeak, you know, for the players.
Clearly in the last round, that is problematic. Is Nico enough of a recovery? No, so TeSeS gets active on his own.
That's
and
a high
that is man advantage here for Falcons.
And this was the only thing they added to this round. It's now a 4-man cross. The one guy who was waiting a trophy goes down. And there's still pressure here.
Oh, he's got him.
Oh, it's gonna hurt.
Easy spam for Nico. He's been just thriving with that damage time and time again. Kicksand can lean down, be the early warning sign, but what if?
Oh, move from
Brolin
Brolin.
has a way to route down through Vent instead. That A site looked prime for the taking. What if he goes back? Because right now, Xerxion's testing lower at the same time. Brolin, oh, he's got a blind P250 in front of him. Kicksand down to 3 bullets. He's not able to stop this. Now we're looking at a recovery.
Oh, this is
Nico
so
sees them up
ridiculous.
along the wall. Dexter gets his. Off shot connects. They line up right in front of the crosshair. Made easy for Nico.
Shooting bullets at gold, man. Not wasting any ammo. Tapping for the collat on the cross.
He's the only
That's
guy who
ridiculous.
gets kills like that because everybody else would have been spraying.
Any more HP and he gets away with that. It's a round that starts 4v5 here when Jimmy gets spotted by TeSeS. Another key moment for TeSeS in this series. Timeout here for Falcons. And this close game gets closer. That round was just to keep it alive, though, for Falcons. They were taking on water. They had very low money, even lower than Mouse did.
And I can't hear much crowd, so I'm not trying to talk
This TeSeS aggression up
so
in the trophy
loud
room
that
just finds
I-
Jimmy
you know,
along the wall.
you
Look
don't
how
even need to
easy
win
it
the
looks
space
for
anymore.
Nico.
You're just going as
And this
loud as they
lineup,
are,
I mean, when I
basically,
saw
all
this
the way
peek up
through.
in front of him,
Poor Nico, man.
Falcons keeping up.
I haven't watched this back yet,
Nico
but I know you
finally
have.
change things up a little bit. We'll see if that Dexter shot from a long-range distance goes ahead to set up this. Oh, denied! Brolin just takes his head off. And all that pressure that's been successfully added through the smokes, that's not part of the equation here in round 21. Somebody will have to make up for the loss of Nico. Can it really be Kicksand? Looks good to start.
Xerxion,
That was important. I like that you say, can it really be Kicksand? Because Kicksand's now the guy who's having the second worst game on the map.
Who have struggled on A, drop the ball again.
Actually, I like this one because, as well, I don't jump the gun with the first kill. Because one kill's not enough on main. Like, there's a second player that's right there to
not part of the
potentially be
equation here in
dropped.
round 21. Somebody
Can it really be Kicksand? Because, again, the expectations are no, right? I think I love that.
It is about expectations, yeah.
It's definitely a mechanic that I use. I think the best example of it is going back to the Some Die Young clip, the overpass one.
A double man advantage that feels like surely Vitality have already got enough. But what about that flash from SDY? How about this hold from Perfecto? Incendiary to the right. Some Die Young turns his attention. Oh! All three! Some Die Young and Some Die again and again and again. 11-4, 11 rounds straight, and a dominant overpass CT side.
Because they test the B bomb site, and I ask 2 questions. I'm like, how about this nade from Perfecto? Does a bit of damage. He dies. How about this hold from SDY? And then he gets this crazy 3K that goes into the Some Die Young, Some Die Again and Again and Again clip. And it's like, asking a question leaves it open so that you can react to what occurs after instead of just waiting.
We talked about
And
this actually
it's-
before the finals, right? This was remember I had that TFT analogy about slamming and pivoting?
Yeah.
Yeah, you slam too many lines, like you commit. Oh,
Leaving
he
open
will
possibility.
Get this,
Yep.
He will, yeah. Then it like allows you to just be really, because even mentally when you say it, you know that it could or couldn't happen. So you're ready to say something else, take it in a new direction.
And I'd say the gold is when you do slam a line, like you
Yeah.
say something with certainty and then it happens. Like that's going to give you some phenomenal
Like
casting moments
like
as well.
The ramp pop where it didn't happen, but I knew it was going to happen. So
Sure.
that's where you step in, you do it. Then the
Yeah,
payoff is
you
huge.
take that chance.
If that
And
moment
if you
had
are
resulted
wrong,
in them waiting behind it, it would have been extremely awkward.
sure.
Like,
Yeah,
you
so you
gotta
got to be careful with where you drop them.
Yeah.
But also it creates, a gravity to the situation
Have
where
to
like
make up for the
Kicksand getting 2 here would be pretty phenomenal because
Yeah.
then you'd hope that the A site holds, right? You've got a player behind you in Magis.
loss of Nico. Can it really be Kicksand? Looks good to start.
Xerxin, look at that expand. Goes all the way to the right.
Out too hot, down they go again. The same two players who have struggled on A drop the ball again.
Okay, that's amazing.
And this is one where, like, okay, you know, you've been talking a lot about matching the sounds of the crowd, where if they're not, you know, super chanty and cheering, then you're going to kind of come in at the right volume. And I think from a listener's perspective, it's so important because we always ask ourselves and think like, okay, what does the listener hear? Does it sound good? You know, I think we're two commentators who I believe sound good. Like we've got good voice control. We're pleasant on the ear. And this is one where it's like my job, regardless of what the crowd is doing, crowd doesn't want Mouse to win. Crowd a moment ago was hoping for the Falcons comeback. They're cheering for that way more. Do you hear anything happening as Mouse secure this very important 12th round? Absolutely not. And Mohan has the luxury of like being able to match crowds all the time. But my job is to make the excitement happen. And there are Mouse fans at home who just started fucking yes, like they're pumped because their team just secured a 12th round. So I'm not casting for the room anymore. I'm casting for the Mouse fans. And that's why I give this one a little bit of extra gusto because it's like, it's still 12, guys. Like you can't let the room dictate me as a commentator.
It is also, round 21.
Okay, that's amazing. Mouse will take 12 off this round. There's no chance of Falcons getting back into
And you hear the effect it has on you.
Yeah.
Oh, that is amazing. Crowd takes 12. Like, you summarize.
You're right. I mean, also, it's the
Nico got his ace on
at this
pistol.
event,
Yes,
the
Nico
reason
had
that Falcons
great
have
last
fans
round,
is
but
because
when
the rounds
he's been
at this
solo,
event. You know,
both
it wasn't
sides
that
got
they
the
had
better
fans
of him,
beforehand. It
whether
was
that was with
Dexter's
exertion
interview. It
or with
was
Brolin on this
Nico's
round.
highlights.
And these are
It was
key
like
right
a
letting
lot of
Nico
teams
build
at
any
this event,
momentum. He
actually,
sits
very
here
unlike
still,
other events,
14 and 15.
made their fans
One
here.
round to go, we saw-
You know,
Whoa,
next
they
time
become
Mouse come
super
back to
late.
Cluj,
we're
they
trying
will
to
have
drop
fans.
someone in the
For what remains the question, but one round ago we see
Like,
Nico
listen to the
added
fucking
into
golf
main
clap the
instead,
room
like,
gives
freed up
them,
by
dude.
Nico.
12 rounds.
Yeah,
Maybe just
Mel's
as
gonna
quick
get taxed
again.
for their
To be
lack of
fair,
aura. I think
I think that was
Jimmy
just
brought
Brolin.
some back though.
Pretty sure he
Like,
was the
it was
side
funny
mini.
because
100%.
Jimmy
Doing
was
the
the
cross
only
moves.
one who had a chant.
Nico
They were just like,
Also-
Jimmy.
And come the trophy lift, like they started chanting. Once it was over, you know, Cluj gave respect to both teams all the time.
Yeah.
So, but they're allowed to want what they want during the battle. Like,
Yeah. I mean, most sports are like home crowd versus an away team, and then you cheer against the away team. That's just all sports. Like esports, the only one where you can have like Cologne, where Germany has no good team, so everyone in playoffs gets cheered for. But like a lot of places are going to have a huge slant. But Romania has a few players that are going to cheer. If IMMA was playing on Navi, they would dominate the crowd.
Other iterations,
They would be booing anybody who played against Navi, for sure, even Falcons. That comes down to how basically how good your country is at Counter-Strike.
I think this is also a point to make. Like, we are, again, 2 maps into a best of 5. This is a map where it's like the outcome of the match is still not dictated. We still have potentially 2 more maps to get through and stuff. So
Technically, like
I
one
think
of the
that's
least
why
important
maybe,
maps.
yeah, it is. So it's like that's why maybe, you know, I'm not trying to go crazy on every single round, but obviously the end of the map has to be still wrapped up with hype. I believe in that fully.
Yeah, you always maintain
already
that
now
standard.
Mouse,
I
they've
think
got
that's
this
really important.
information.
But yeah, we
Dexter,
also
of the fact that
talked
Nico
about this
is out here,
before
but he can't
the
actually cover
final.
that
That
spot.
like it's a marathon.
The thing is,
We've done
Mouse
lots of
has
best of 5
information, but they
finals
don't
at this
know he
point,
went
but
back
like
here.
there's so much to improve on
Well,
in
it may be
just the
it's
fact
also
that it's a
Magic
best of
who's
5
been
compared
near
to other types
non-existent throughout
of
the map.
finals. And
Just the
map 3 of
5-7.
a best of 5
So
when it's
Mouse
1-1
will use that
is
clock
like
as a
one of the
resource. This
least
isn't it.
important. And also the crowd has to be able to have energy for the end of the game as well. Like, keep exhausting them. Like, are you guys excited? Are you guys here? Are you guys cheering for? And it's like, yeah, we everybody knows we've got at minimum a whole other map coming up, and it seems like with a matchup this close, maybe even 2. So you can't burn everything in the middle.
And I think this is a good conversation to have just because at the same time, bro, this is still something that we are recently navigating. Like, best of 5s have a huge uptick in number as of late, right? Now all Blast Grand Finals are now best of 5.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, numerically, the only people who would even come close to us in terms of the number of best of 5s commentated is actually Chad and Alex.
Yeah.
Because they do Katowice, they do Cologne. And Kato and Cologne are the only BO5 Grand Finals outside of Blast. And now PGL this year, right? But it's like we've done 2 Bet Boom Dacha BO5s. We've done Blast's multiple best of 5s from Spring Finals to Bounty and now Cluj Napoca.
Is Pro League not best of 5?
I think it is, but they all interchange, if I'm not mistaken. Casters interchange on Pro League Finals. Or Chad and Alex don't do Grand Finals for Pro League, or at least not all the maps. Like, my point's not to be like, we're the BO5 guys. It's just more like we've never had to do these until, like, you know, 7 years of commentating BO5s and knowing which maps to hype, when to ramp, when to just let the game kind of chill. This is actually something we're navigating and learning this year more than ever before. So, you know, if there's anything that like we're kind of off with, I feel like it makes total sense that we've got to figure this out, because BO5s are clearly just like sticking around and if anything like proliferating.
BO5s are where you actually like time when you eat and decide, how excited you will be. You know, like. Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, no one's drinking Red Bulls before map 1. Dude.
Yeah.
You gotta wait until halftime of map 2.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, I just remember in between maps too. It's like, all right, do we spend this time in between maps standing here at the desk just soaking it in? No, we need to go grab a coffee and a banana, and we go sit in the green room for 15 minutes. And then we kind of like, you know, just we're in a more quiet environment. I've actually started wearing earplugs in between maps as well in stadium days.
I didn't even know that. I just thought you just were ignoring me.
No. Just putting earplugs in because your world is just a little quieter. I think it's a cool way to reset. And again, just kind of be like on a different wavelength than the room. Because as much as you want to be a part of the crowd, you are there commentating to people at home as well. So to me, it kind of, I think like, you know, like you're saying, like, what does it sound like on TeamSpeak? For me, it's like, what does it sound like in my living room? And I want to connect to that in between maps of a best of 5 because it is a grind, but alas.
Big commitment by Nico because he won't be able to help out Upper really quickly. But if they
this is a weird round, right? This is when he leans all the way back.
Spix actually walks into him. Honestly, Nico's a genius, dude. Like he knew that this is coming from like 30 seconds ago.
Depending on his kill, but here comes Spinks, heavy hitter.
It's a little weird angle. Can't quite get him. There it is. E taps away. It's a good bit of damage.
No chance, dude. Yeah, right.
Not quite that strong, brother. Dexter attacks with the sidearm. And that's going to take a
Dexter taking that duel with a pistol is insane.
Unreal, actually. Like, maybe not even a good idea.
And the unfortunate trade-off for Mouse is Main and Hut, which have worked so well. They could this looks fast.
Now I realize Mac 10's
mid-sentence. He's struggling, but they're actually taking it to ramp.
And they're going to try to test Nico and Tess. Those aren't the guys you want
quick
to
handoff.
with usually.
Yep.
Brolin
With a bit of crank too. Because again, round 23, this could be the end of the game.
But Nico awaits. Bomb now dropped. Fast move out of Kicksan, and it's saved to hold the line.
24 rounds promised. Scary on ramp, but that only sped up Mouse into the death trap.
That's one of those ones where, like, you know, we crank it because it could be the end of the game, but there's a moment here where you realize, like, oh, it's not going to be. Yeah. And that's why, you know, sometimes my commentary can be very, like, rhythmic and wordy. You know, Nico over here by the Astralis plant, holes to the window, bomb drops down, biggity bop bop. It's not one of those. It's like, I save that, hopefully, for rounds that go back and forth. Because if you do it too often, it's gimmicky. I think it's a powerful tool, but sometimes you just gotta, you know, like at this point here when nobody dies.
It's part of you that's like, this is a very hard fight for Nico, but you're hoping he gets some kind of crazy moment because all eyes are on him.
Yeah.
But it's still very nice the way it ends. Control side,
nice and
run
clean.
up by Kicksan,
when I see the bomb get
kills.
dropped, that's when I'm like, oh, this isn't going to go back and forth. Everyone's going to swarm for fights. Like, there's not going to be a retake. It's just going to come down to kills. Even if the T's win, feels like it's going to come down to kills. Everybody dies.
On the brink of victory,
this is also a handshake between us, everyone watching. This is very hyped now because it is the last round of the game. I think at this point, I didn't have anything to say. I just said, I'm going to say something fast.
24 rounds promised.
Just anything here because it's like everyone's hyped. We're going the distance in a game that was a stomp in the first half. Everything you remember from the match doesn't matter anymore. Now the only thing that matters is this next round. And here's actually a moment where we can actually carry
once again
from start to finish. We want to keep a level of energy here no matter what happens. Because like you said, every end of a game deserves like a certain level of close.
Also, you tapped into it. You want to keep it high because, again, it's a handshake between everybody in the room and whatever not. Everybody's been hungry for this game. It's the first competitive. I mean, everything I could say now, I think I say in the cast, which is just like now everybody in the room is, you can literally see it. People are like leaning forward, right? Because it's like, this is it. There's going to be a moment somehow, some ways. Like there's a moment of conclusion that's about to happen. Either it's regulation or it's the map.
Or it's a
and it's all mixed in with continuity.
Yeah,
exactly. So like I tried to tap it. I threw it back. I said, you know, Nico made this possible.
Your first 24-round game of Counter-Strike in this Grand Finals. Come on, Cluj!
Try to hype. So now the tone has been set at the start of the round, right? It's like we're entering the round at a level 7 or 8.
Yeah.
Because the crowd is cheered. Like the crowd doesn't cheer at the start of every round, but this round is particularly exceptional, you know, so we need to be ready to get like frothy, right?
Also,
that's I think the point of trying to ask them.
It's reminding them of something that technically is obvious, but when you're there watching, you're not as half intent on remembering those things as we are, who have watched every round and like are thinking about that all the time. So bringing up something like this is the first 24 round, like it adds to the moment to tell people that they're watching something that's happening first. That hasn't happened before. Like, that matters.
It's also me trying to be like, without saying it directly, what I'm thinking about and trying to tap into is it's like, I'm trying to make them remember the last 2 maps where it ended 13-6. It ended 13-4. You didn't have a chance to hang on every single peak, every single shot, every single... Now you finally have what you want. A 24th round in a stadium on a BO5 Sunday. Like, this is your moment to, again, get frothy as a crowd member. So hopefully that's what I like trying to tap into subconsciously.
Nikos got no smoke in this spot.
That's not it, dude. He doesn't have the tools to work with. Could his teammates bail him out?
Yes, they can. They can flash over top of Secret. They can
Question,
also,
you take it.
If he doesn't think he's spotted, I mean, he can sit there as long as he wants. Here's the flash.
Flash over for it. Doesn't swing immediately. Waits an extra second. Now they're going to come to him, but
Volley goes to the stairs.
They're not thinking about the right spot. Nico, he is going to remain patient. We have already seen
This
him
is good by
patient in
us.
these
It's
kinds
all
of
about
plays.
suspicion,
And
he gets crushed again.
Poor
Just
Nico.
snaps it on him. Your king's gone down. And if Falcons are going to truly run this all the way back, it's got to come from the others. Magisk is able to shave one player off this, then...
How the
That's
hell
like a
did this
hype
even
moment,
happen, dude?
but it's fully disengaged, right? And like, again, we do a great job because I ask a question right before a pause. You fill that question with an answer. You then highlight piece of utility, which is a perfect moment of what Harry Russell has coined combat color. Right?
Combat
This is such a
color, yeah.
sick commentary term. Combat color. You have highlighted something, analytical, a usage of a utility. And because you do that for me, you leave it hanging after the flash. There's the flash. I'm back in.
disengage into the A site. What are you
What?
doing?
Then you mentioned the Molotov with hype. The Molly hits the stairs. I don't have to because Mohan has now done play-by-play, which is like you save your play-by-play for round 24s for like our back and forth attempts.
What is Jimmy up to? Backs turn! And he gets it out from Squeaky. That's Jimmy in the middle. And with Dexter now sliding back into this site,
Jimmy in the middle is
he's
great. I
scouring,
hated
looking
this
for a
moment, though.
lifeline. Denied
But that
by
was
the
nice.
Finn. Triple out of Jimmy. And Mouse will not waste
Because
this
I think I
chance.
was ready for overtime
Tess
in this game, and then for the way that, like, how is Jimmy turning around in a smoke and then getting that out of it? You know what I mean? It's like, did he get lucky?
A real chance to hoist that trophy with or without Shuhei.
Yeah, that's brutal. That whole the Shuhei narrative.
Which
But
we
it
have
needs
to
to be
start talking about
mentioned.
now at the end of the game, right?
Yeah.
Can we watch that last round back? I just want to run it start to finish.
Yeah.
There's something special about round 24s, dude.
Used to be around 30s, but
Your first
Ain't no one got time for
24-round
that,
game
dude.
of Counter-Strike in this grand finals. Come on, Cluj! Could be another fast move. Nico gonna get into Secret uncontested.
Yes. I don't know if they spot. Man, Nico's got no smoke in this spot.
That's not it, dude. He doesn't have the tools to work with. Could his teammates bail him out?
Yes, they can. They can flash over top of Secret. They can also, if he doesn't think he's spotted, I mean, he can sit there as long as he wants. Here's the flash.
Flash over for it. Doesn't swing immediately. Waits an extra second. Now they're gonna come to him, but
Volley goes to the stairs.
they're not thinking about the right spot. Nico, he is going to remain patient. We have already seen him patient in these kinds of plays. And
he gets crushed again.
just snaps it on him. Your king's gone down. And if Falcons are gonna truly run this all the way back, it's gotta come from the others. Magisk is able to shave one player off this, then disengage into the A site. What are you doing? What is Jimmy up to? Backs turn! And he gets it out from Squeaky. That's Jimmy in the middle. And with Dexter now sliding back into this site, he's scouring, looking for a lifeline. Denied by the Finn. Triple out of Jimmy. And Mouse will not waste this chance. Tess tasked with a near insurmountable clutch. There's already a player up above, and down they go, sent packing. 24 rounds of action on Nuke, and a real chance to hoist that trophy with or without Shuhei.
Woo! Woo!
She said she loves you, but
but she can't love me.
Yeah, there's a lot there. I mean, it's great that that goes round 24 because, yeah, kind of like no matter what happens, once you get to round 24, it can just be so special, kind of no matter what the outcome is. I think that it is kind of like trying to channel the same thing that Kerrigan does as you get close to the end of the game. Bring in all the elements of what happened up until that point, and then give it its spotlight, and then let the action happen, because then there's moments like Jimmy where it's a new position, new kills that happen, and then you just gotta let it happen. And I remember like when Jimmy got those kills, like, oh god, no way that this is how it goes down for Falcons. After the comeback, Nico dying in another bullshit way inside a... I watched that kill back, by the way, on Secret. Nonsense. Torzi had like a Pasha swing. It was like this, and it went right into Nico's head. So there were moments where you know you're watching that, you're like, yeah, okay, it did come down to that, but you got to let it go. And the final overall it's good. I would say the best part about it was the crowd. I don't think crowds actually know how much influence they have on how likely a tournament is to come back. But like for PGL thinking about just running this back every single year, like probably because of the crowd, right? Like at this event, it wasn't really about the teams. The prize pool was massive. The VRS points were huge. They had the best talent and whatever, but the crowd was like the thing that PGL can now have for their event no matter what. The same guys coming back, building history in a certain place, and then next time they're going to have better and better teams. Then it's going to be like a, you know, their Cologne, their Cato.
And I think it's cool that there's been a major there specifically as well, right? Because like we always talk about Counter-Strike and its history, and there's a 10-year gap between Cluj, but it was so nice to be able to reference, because the whole conversation would have been like, wow, how unsuspecting was this crowd to turn out to be so great? But it's like, no, we're tapping back into Counter-Strike history. How many times were we able to say, like, you brought it up at the start of this, the sign that had Man Truce written on it? Yeah. Instead of Paula. Like, there was history on the walls of that arena, and it felt like everybody there, even if it was their first time, because I even asked the crowd at one point, like, is this your first CS event? But those people can also get swept away in the history, knowing that games have happened in that very same arena previously.
Yeah, I think there's moments like that where I realized, like, we're officially like a young sport. You know, we're not an old sport, but like we're coming up on 30 years now, and like there's memorabilia from 10 plus years ago at stadiums. Because like before Cluj, there wasn't even that many big stadiums at all, period. So that's like one of the first big stadiums that we filled up. That was a major. So now seeing that history come up like years later, players that are playing other games is even cool. Seeing Scream on that, and people from Valorant knowing Scream and knowing he's a relic of Counter-Strike history, that's also really cool. So it was very special for that reason. I think we've been so lucky with the places we've gone to, because it feels like every crowd we've gone to recently, we've been like, this crowd is gonna have a major, you know, like, and we mean it, because it's like Singapore was unreal, Cluj is unreal, Shanghai was unreal. Like, where is the last bad crowd? Genuinely, that wasn't a total surprise. I can't even remember. Don't name them. We don't want to lose fans. But I actually don't know. It's ironically, I think Cato was one of the events where it was maybe the last Cato, and previous Catos felt better. I don't know why, but...
Well, okay, you know, we're kind of there. I'll say, like, previous Catos felt better. Previous fall finals felt better as well. You know, like places that have had amazing, like, you know, I don't want to insult people who go to Katowice. Even
just this last
it'd be disingenuous. Right? Just this last. They know that there were better crowds previously, and the same can be said for Copenhagen, where maybe it's an oversaturation. Maybe when you know that there's going to be an event there every year, it's like not as much of a special moment or whatever. Or maybe there's other variables at play. I'm not sure, but it's like what happens is when you do go to a new location, or a location that's trying to really earn it. Like you said, does a crowd really understand that they play such a important role in like bringing an event back? Feels like the Australians understand that, because they're like fighting to get bigger events to come.
If you're not here, you're not living.
Yeah, right. And now what? I am Melbourne this year, so I mean, like. It is true, guys. Like, you come to an arena and that's why I always love, I remember this one guy at the end of Cluj, we hung around after the grand finals, we were signing stuff, taking pictures, and there's this one guy who's like trying to get our attention because he wants a photo with us, and he's just going, I'm like, what's up, man? He's like, voice is gone. And it's like that guy sacrificed himself physically to make sure that the arena felt a little better, you know, because it is obviously a sum of all those crazy fans. So shout out to anybody who loses their voice at a Counter-Strike event.
All right, well, we're coming up on an hour and a half. I think we get a lot out of that. I think next time, if we do this, we'll bring in a couple of clips. If you guys have clips as well that you think were interesting, think there's more to learn from them, or want the backstory to it, because there's always so much more that goes on that's not on the stream, just tweet them over. And then we will pull those up, because we can go just as deep on a 1.5-minute clip as we can on a 40-minute VOD, maybe somehow even more. So yeah, thanks for watching. Commentary review here for PGL Cluj Finals. And that's me and Scrawny.
Bye.